Tired of tattoo chairs that squeak, wobble, and feel like you're tattooing on a folding lawn chair from 1982? Say goodbye to imported pain and hello to the Chariot Tattoo Chair, the only throne fit for an artist and their canvas. Crafted right here in the good old US of A, the Chariot Tattoo Chair is more American than a bald eagle riding a Harley through a fireworks show. No tariffs, no shipping delays, just pure economic freedom. We're talking lumbar support that'll cradle your client's spine like it owes them money, armrests that adjust faster than your last relationship, and a 360-degree swivel that'll have you spinning like a DJ at a block party. Stop torturing your back and your client's dignity. Upgrade to the Chariot Tattoo Chair because your art deserves better than a glorified bar stool. The Chariot Tattoo Chair. Sit proud, ink loud.
This is the chairman and the artist, where vision meets creation. Let's talk. Live. Welcome back. This is another episode of the chairman and the artist. My name is Rafael, coming to you live all the way from Reno, Nevada. Uh, our guest today is actually I'm supposed to say the date too. Today is May 19, 2025, and your host, Rafael and Vaca. Vaca's not here, but I'm supposed to say that. All right. Today we have a great artist that's been tattooing for a while. He's also doesn't just do tattoos, he does all kinds of multiple different art. Whatever he touches, he can figure it out how to fucking paint and draw with it. And then he's also pretty good at fishing. I introduce you my brother, the one and only Indio.
Oh, thank you for the introduction.
I,
How does that hold me
I
feel?
had to, I had to use it, cabrón. I had to fuck. It's not like I'm writing this shit down, cabrón.
Yeah, I know. I was like, wow. No, thanks. I was like, no, no, thank you. I'm Indio Reyes. I'm Rap's brother, real blood brother, and well, I live down here in Guadalajara, so we don't have a lot of opportunity to chat or because life and being so far, and also just working.
Yeah, this probably be a good way for us to catch up, maybe once a month or maybe once every 2 months. An excuse that we're doing a podcast slash FaceTime, to
Yeah,
catch up.
yeah. The only thing is, why do you seem blurry? Because you're blurry on my side.
It's okay. It's actually gonna record it. Like sometimes it'll go blurry on you, but
Okay.
I I I was tripping when I saw that happening with my mom. I'm like, oh man, come on. But once it's done recording, it'll come out nice and clear. All
Okay.
right.
I'm just making sure because I've never really done it this way. I've done a few lives with a couple friends. It was fun. It was interesting. I did it with Nervio. And Nervio, he has a lot to say too, you know.
Oh, is he still around? Is he still tattooing?
Yeah, Nervio has a shop in Hermosillo, Mexico.
Shit,
Um,
maybe you should send me his link so I want to get as many artists, just bullshit and talk and stuff like that.
he's really old school and he's really direct. So whatever he says whatever's on his mind, and he has no filters.
Well,
He
that's
he's a
even
good
better.
guy. He's a good guy. I mean, I love Nervio. I mean, he's a good friend of mine, and we come back from the Escuela Vieja here in Mexico. I've known Nervio since God, I want to say '97, I think,
Yeah, that's
1997.
probably. I think when I met him when we went to the
DJ show,
tattoo,
remember?
yeah, in Tijuana, and we did that show in Tijuana, and I think that was '98.
Yeah, somewhere around there. Yeah. So yeah,
Yeah.
around that time when we met him, and he's always been a cool dude, man. Like his family hangs out with my kid. My kid will. I told Anthony if he ever wants to go over there, just go and hang out with them. He gets along good with them too, with his kids and all that. And they're all tattooing. His wife tattoos. All three of his
Whole
kids
family.
tattoo. Huh?
Oh, that's fucking cool. The whole family's tattooing.
Yeah, yeah. Well, Tracy, his wife, she's fully like she's got a pretty much a full bodysuit. You know, she's heavily tattooed. Nedville
And
too. You know, Nedville's pretty heavily tattooed. I mean, he worked at Diamond Club with Philip Liu, and the Horitoshi family, and so Nervi has a lot of stories. He's cool. I'll hook you up with him. He's got a lot of cool
Cool.
stuff to talk about.
Maybe we can we for people that don't know you, we should just start like when did you start your tattoo career, or when did you get serious? You can tell a little bit of the story when you first arrived to Mexico and your struggles or your triumphs on opening up your first studio. How about that, bro? Can we start with a story like that?
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, shit, you know this. I think I forgot my first tattoo when I was 14 by a guy they call Nino in the hood, and
I remember Nino.
and he put my nickname Indio on my finger, and ever since I saw how he made that tattoo machine, I paid attention, and I went home and I tried to gather all the things I needed, which was a little rotary motor, a guitar string, or a needle, whatever I could use to like puncture. And I made a homemade machine, and I just started tattooing a bunch of my friends, a bunch of my cousins. In fact, one of my cousins, Rafa, my other Rafa, I just saw him. And, I told him you should let me touch it up, and then he's like, "Nah, leave it. It's your first." And I'm like, "Yeah, you're right.
It's a
Leave it.
collectible.
Yeah, just leave it." I mean, it's a cool thing. I mean, you go back and see your first tattoo, and not everybody has that opportunity. So I got to see my first tattoo, how it heals, and it looks horrible, but
But we
it was
learned.
my first tattoo.
Hopefully we have what do you call it? Evolved.
Well, I mean, you got to keep in mind this is 1988.
Holy shit!
To,
Yeah.
to put things in perspective for a lot of people, this is 1990, 88. I'm gonna be 52 years old.
So you were
So
14 and I was 18. I was barely graduating high school.
yeah, yeah. So by the time I was already tattooing, I was 15, and that's what I kept with it, and then you got into it with me, and you're the one that suggested to buy the Joe Kaplan machines,
Uh-huh.
and you got to put this in perspective to a lot of people that might be watching this or going to watch this. There wasn't an industry back then. We got to see that ad in an Easy Rider magazine, a bike magazine, a biker magazine, and in the middle of it, it had like three little pages with tattoos in there, these bikers with these tattoos, and we were like, "That's cool." And but there was an ad in the back, and it was the Joe Kaplan machine, and it was also a Hux Spalding ad, and you're the one that ordered them, and then you got the machines in, and we didn't know that they needed to be tuned up. For a lot of people, when you buy something, back then we had to make a money order and go to the store and buy that, and then send it through mail, and then wait to get a response through mail. There was no internet, there was no phones, there was no tracking, there was none of that. So you send this money to this company and you hope that you get your product,
Oh yeah.
and
Oh,
and we did, and did it come with instructions? Hell no, it didn't
hell
come with
no,
anything.
cabrón.
It didn't come with anything. You're just like, oh, how do we
Figure it
put
out
this
yourself.
together? How do you put this together? And yeah, that was crazy. If you think about it now, I mean, that was just how they sent it. It's like, hey, figure it out. Basically, that's what they basically told you by sending no instructions. It's like, figure it out. You know,
Yeah.
we're not going to teach you a goddamn thing, and no one was willing to. The few people that knew something kept it to themselves back then. And so people say nowadays that there's gatekeepers. You guys have no idea how we all went through it. We all
Yeah.
went through it.
I
You
got
got you got kicked out of a tattoo shop when you asked them if you would
had
give
to
you an
get pigment
apprenticeship.
because I wanted to get the colors on my Virgen de Guadalupe. And just for asking for the pigment, I got an ass kicked on the way out
Yeah, I
at the
mean,
other tattoo shop in Reno.
some of these guys say, "Oh, gatekeepers." Man, you don't know what gatekeepers are. Our gatekeepers would whoop your ass, literally. They would fight you.
Yes.
They would kick you out of their shop. And if you were to open a shop down the street from them, they'd probably burn your shop down.
Oh, I
Simple
heard
as that.
stories about back in the day, the old schoolers doing the Molotovs and shit like that,
I
doing
heard about
jobs.
the crazy glue in the locks. Adding crazy glue in the locks. I heard about that shit. Um, and you would constantly get hate. You know, these guys nowadays, they think gatekeeping is, oh my God, they're, no, you guys have no idea how hard we went through to learn whatever we learned. And you know how we learned it? Trial and error. You know how long it took me to really understand the technical part of tattooing? It took me 10 years, at least to understand the technical part of tattooing. And when I mean technical, you know, you could be talking about someone says, well, the skin's the skin. Bull. Tattoo this area compared to tattoo uh, this area, tattoo your neck, that whole area, or your elbow, that whole area changes, you know?
Yeah.
And so even it's the same person, the same body, skin changes, all that. So yeah, it
The
took me
skin has
about 10.
grain.
Yeah,
If you
it
tell
just,
people that skin has grain, they almost don't want to believe that.
well, you know, yeah, I mean, when you tell people that it takes 10 years, when they're like, well, we learned it in a year. Yeah, you learned it because now you have all the information thanks to a lot of the people that passed that information down over the years, you know. And, you know, I was lucky to also had some of that information passed down through you and other artists, you know what I mean?
Oh
And
yeah.
so to me, it was at that time, I think that was one of the coolest things though. We were all trying to figure it out. It wasn't just me. It was all the homeboys trying to figure out, you know. Back then, everybody was going through their own struggle, you know, and it wasn't a lot of us. It was a handful of tattoo artists that were in the industry, and there was a handful of artists that were striving to get into that industry, and there was only a few of us, you know. And I happened to take me about 10 years to understand how to real you know, the real technical part of tattooing. Now, artwork, that's a whole different story. I mean, artwork, you're still pushing your artwork. I know how to tattoo without a problem. I know how to, you know, use Big Man's color pack, everything, tribal, black and gray shading. Give it to us. We know how to do it. Why, bro? Because we worked in a walk-in shop that whatever came in,
We
we
had to
did.
do it.
Whether it was a
We did it.
tribal, butterfly, a
Hellcat.
fairy, you know, and so and we had to be quick. A lot of people don't understand that, you know. Now these guys take all day and they design and they pre-design and they design for to do this little piece and then they go and do it. We didn't have a week or hours to design that. We had 20, 30 minutes to figure it out, and we didn't have internet. So we either went through a shitload of books and reference or flash that we had there,
Hmm.
and we try to draw the best that we could to mimic whatever we were doing, whether it was a butterfly, whether it was a George Clooney tattoo that's going up his neck from dusk till dawn. I mean,
That's when that shit became popular.
I think I did like four of those tattoos on dudes, like fully sleeves. Remember?
Yes.
Now I'm like, and we freehanded that stuff back then. We
Yeah.
freehanded. There was no stenciling. There was no. I was just like sit down, you know. Um, I'll start
Well,
freehanding.
Kelly was strict on us, especially me. Oh, you're gonna first practice drawing this design on the client. If you can't draw this butterfly, then go trace one. But you need to practice drawing it first before you can fucking go trace or make a stencil.
Yeah,
So
that
he
was
forced
the
us to
thing.
draw.
He says, you know, you got to attempt first to draw it freehand. If you can't do it, then yeah, make the stencil. And so I think that to me was one of the like huge benefits working in that shop in Stingray, you know, because there was a lot of versatility in artists, and you know, and I learned a little bit from everybody and how everybody worked and how everybody uh, laid out their project. But we weren't a shop that we were doing big pieces, but
Yes.
we were pumping them out. We were
Hmm.
pumping them out day and night, you know. I mean, but those were also the golden years, man. Those were the
Fuck
golden
yeah.
years. There was,
Being booked 3 months ahead and fuck
yeah,
man, three to four tattoos a day, and then sometimes sneaking a couple of fucking body piercings and
yeah, and
shit
that, you
like
know,
that.
some of these guys, you know, I work in a way now. Some of the guys that work with me, I'm still like that, bro. I'm still got ADD. I'm still fucking doing things. I can't sit still. And so when they see me, that I mean, today was supposed to be my day off, but went in because the appointment wanted to set up and just do it. And so, for me, I still like to work. I still want to sit there and push myself. And I think that's what I liked about Stingray. That because I learned so much to be on top of shit. I'm still like that, you know. You know, like I'll see someone come in and they want to quote a tattoo, and one of my guys might be looking at the tattoo, and I'm looking at them like that's an easy fix up. But no, they have to go and sit down and draw and figure this out, and it could take them a couple hours before they even figure it out. We didn't have that opportunity back then. Remember, we did walk-ins. There was days that all we did was walk-ins, and there was days that
Oh,
we
that
did
was the
what?
shit, man.
We
We
could,
had
we
a
could.
line of people outside for your walk-in day and my walk-in day.
Yeah, I remember that. I mean, people don't. I don't think they even. I mean, some of these people do. Some of the guys in our generation will know. Yeah, having lobbies out there with people waiting, and for 5, 6, 7 hours, and tattooing them. You know, you do like 12 tattoos in a day. They're all small tattoos, but you did 10 bangers, 11 bangers, you know, and they're all different. And see, and that's the thing, and they're all different attitudes too, you know. So you have to learn how to deal with different people. Some guys were
Yeah.
all tweaked out, you know. Some guys were
Different
all losing their
people,
fucking
different
mind.
races, different economy, social, you know,
Religions, you know, you'd have, you know,
different religions.
some, you know, Muslim come in, and well, not Muslim, but we had a couple, a little bit of everything, but yeah, you
Yeah.
would have people come in all the time, and so you as a like as a servant, because that's what our business is. We're in the service industry, and a
Yeah.
lot of people forget that, you know, that we are in the service industry. At the end of the day, if a client wants a certain tattoo, I try to give him that tattoo that he wants. But if he gives me the opportunity to like change it up a little bit so it's not copied off the internet, because I don't like doing that, which 99% of the time I get my way, but once in a while they're like, no, I want that. And I'll do it. I won't post it up on the internet. I'm just like, hey, I'll do it just because it's work and
It's a
they let
money
me
maker.
deposit. And yeah, it's a money maker. And, you know, that's what they want. But it's not, I'm not going to put it on my Instagram. And I'll tell them, like, hey, you know, just so you know, I'm not going to put this up. So they don't get offended later on. They're like, why didn't you put it up?
Motherfucker, because you pretty much forcing me to steal it from Roger over here. And
Yeah,
Roger,
you know, I mean, there
remember
was a
when
couple
people used to
cases.
come in and steal our photographs out of our portfolios? They
Mhm.
would steal our photographs.
Yeah, that happened. Yeah, that happened. Now they just steal our Instagram photographs.
But there was more than one person that came in with one of my photos asking to do this. I'm like, motherfucker, where'd you get that? Oh, so and so. That's one of my photos that came out of my fucking portfolio, you dick. Oh, it was like uh uplifting but at the same time irritating because you know when your shit is good enough to steal, you know you're good.
Yeah, yeah, that it was a frustrating. It still happens to me once in a while. Not as much. It happens more with uh, just people using your images for like business cards or their poster or their banner, you know.
Oh
But
shit. So
not tattoos. A lot of it is my paintings.
oh, they're using your artwork to make a flyer for their business.
So at the beginning, I would get kind of upset, and then you know I was talking to Fonzie. And he's like, "Why are you getting upset, fool?" And he goes, "Once you put it on the net, it's fucking free game for everybody, bro." And he's like, and he goes, "When they fucking copy my shit, I feel flattered." He goes, "I feel like, oh, cool, man. You know, they like my shit." He
Yeah,
goes, so,
somebody was inspired by my work.
and so I said, "Nah, you're right." I mean, I just don't like it. Like when I've actually had a couple shops use my shop logo, Tatuajes Reyes, like copy.
Man, are you serious?
Yeah, yeah, it's happened here a couple times, and but I have everything registered here, internationally and nationally. I have it entre el INPI y el otro es las registro de marcas. I can't remember the name of it, but I have it registered. I have my name, shop name, Viva La Tinta, Reyes Tattoo Supply. That's all registered because people like copying shit off of you. You know, people like hanging. You know, I always tell people, man, they're like monkeys. They love hanging off of other people's balls, you know? They like trying to fucking hang off your shit, man. And it
I
does
just the
bother
other one.
me.
Monkey see, monkey do.
Yeah, it kind of does bother me, you know? Uh, because, I mean, there's people that actually came and got tattooed here, and then they go to supposedly their shop, but they were looking for me, you know? And
Oh
they've
fuck.
left, you know? So it's kind of become somewhat of more of a nuisance, not a problem, but more like, you know, but most people now, I think most people know our shop, and they know what to expect, and they it's a nice shop, and it's clean, and it's got a good atmosphere, good layout and stuff.
Oh
So
yeah, I love your studio when I go down there, and also having all the private rooms and stuff like
yeah,
that.
yeah,
Hey,
it makes it
hey,
it makes it comfortable.
yeah, look, I'm gonna tilt the phone a little bit. This is a station that I'm making. This is how I light it up. It's kind of like a square cube, and it's got
Oh, okay, I
curtains,
see it.
and
Yeah,
it's got the lights, and the lights are only like 7 feet above, so you got lighting all around you. I like tattooing with no shadows, especially when I got my afro, bro.
yeah, yeah.
It's hella hard to tattoo. Then I gotta move my fucking neck this way and trying to get the light
No,
to
no,
go
you're
through.
absolutely right. I think that's a great idea because one of the things that I did with Viva, that I make them put light in front and in the back.
Okay,
So a lot of the shows, they just have in the stand. They'll just have the light in front or back, right?
yeah,
No, I
okay,
made them put it on both sides, and then they get no shadow. And then there's a lot of light in Viva La Tinta.
good, good.
You
Because
know?
I'm noticing that I've been to some of the shows here, bro. It's so fucking dark. Everybody's going back to cave style.
Well, that's
Little light
because
on
a
on
lot
the
of these
side.
organizers aren't tattoo artists. A lot of these organizers are business people that just want to make money,
Hmm.
or they're part of I'm not gonna get into that, but they're other people. You know what I mean? But they're not artists themselves.
So
They're
they don't
not artists.
understand what the kind of stuff that we
I think they
require or we
overlook.
need.
I think they just overlook. Uh, they overlook what we really need, and they really don't think about what the artist needs. I think because, for example, it might have a beautiful layout. You might go to the show and say, "This is a beautiful layout," And the show might look good, but for the artist, because I did a show in Ensenada, and it was in a historical building with candelabros and everything, chandeliers, and it was an old like building from Mexico, and it was a nice building, and but man, the lighting was horrible because it was made out for like chandeliers for like an elegant place, and so
It's
we all struggled, and there was no light plugs and shit. It was kind of hard, but see, I think when you're a tattoo artist, like with Viva, that's one of the things I keep in mind. I'm like, well, first of all, also our age, our eyesight's getting harder to fucking. I have a harder
I wear
time.
my glasses.
Yeah, I mean, I wear glasses. These are my everyday glasses now. Um, but then I also have my tattooing glasses when these aren't doing the job. And then I'll grab my other ones a little bit stronger so I can see a little bit closer, especially when I'm doing really fine line work. But anyways, I keep in mind on all that shit, for my colleagues. I want to make sure they all have good lighting, that the air conditioning's on. You don't want to be all sweating there, all shit like that. So I think that's one of the cool things about Viva La Tinta is that we think about all that. Alan and I, we sat back and we really wanted to put a good show together. And so one of the things that we talked about, you know, when we were actually with the idea of doing Viva was how can we make a good quality show and also make it like so tattoo friendly? You know what I mean? That the
Yes.
tattoo artists are like the superstars, which they are. And so we came up with this idea, and we did. Yes, it's an invitation only, or like people can send their applications. We do have to filter them, and it's not just me, but it's Alan, Melissa, and I. And we'll go through these photos, and we'll look at people's portfolio, and we started saying yay, nay. And a lot of people have some people have said, well, I don't like that you guys are so selective. At least here in Mexico, they've complained about it. And I'm like, well, only ones that complain about that are the ones that weren't selected.
Yeah.
But the thing is, I went through that too in a couple of the Inkslingers ball. I put in 3 years in a row, and I finally got in. Even the Paris show, it took me 2 3 years before they let me in. Even
Yeah.
the London show, and it wasn't like I just got in, and so, but it made me work harder. And what it did, it also made a lot of Mexican artists work harder and look.
Cool.
Like at something forward to look at. You're
A
like, hey,
little nudge. You're giving them a little nudge. Subliminal. You're giving them a little nudge. Hey, move your ass. Do a little better if you want to get into
you're
this
part of this show.
into
Yeah,
this
yeah,
part. You know.
yeah.
And
And so,
there's nothing wrong with that. Some of us need a little kick in the ass, especially if we're the owner. You know, I'm dealing with a guy right now that he's the owner, and me and Vaca were talking. You know, that I said, look, there's nobody there to kick his ass. He takes a little ass kicking from me. I kind of tell him this, and that, because to him, I'm an elder. But there's no way his employees can do that shit to him, you know? And he'll be firing them or getting rid of them. So sometimes, yeah, it takes another owner of a shop or somebody else that you're kind of level to. Hey, cabron, you can do better, and don't take it
well,
bad.
I just look at it more like it. Hopefully, it just motivates them to do better. That
Mhm.
you know what I mean. That's all I'm trying to push it. I'm just trying to motivate these people to get better. And so,
If
I
we're
mean,
not looking for better, why are we having competitions?
yeah, exactly. You know, and it makes you like look forward at something. You know what I mean? At least that's how I look at it. And honestly, I saw a big difference. Now, Mexico, from the first year that we did Viva, I mean, don't get me wrong, there's some really, really good Mexican artists here, and there's a lot of them. But that was the problem, bro. This is one of the biggest problems, and this is why we decided to do Viva La Tinta. Because you know how many tattoos I did here? And some of my clients would go up to the States, to Disneyland or Florida. You know, a lot of my clients would travel for vacation in the US, and they'd come back and they're like, yeah, all these people ask me where I get my piece done. I told them over in Mexico. And the first thing they all said, Mexico? They don't know how to tattoo there. They're so unsanitary. I'm surprised you didn't get AIDS. I'm surprised you didn't get a
It's
disease.
still
You
stupid
shouldn't.
stigma.
But no, but it's the reality. And you know how many times it happened to me? Shitload of times. I want to say almost every client that had been to the US got those response from just typical people in the US that they kept thinking that Mexico didn't have good artists. And we did. I mean, just some of these guys didn't have a visa to go to the States, you know? And some of these guys don't really even care about going to the States. They have little desire. And so they had just good artists that were working in town. I mean, one of the greatest fucking artists here. And he's a good, decent tattoo artist, but he's a great artist. Is Lacra. Lacra, you
Okay.
know, and Lacra, you know, those guys, you know, their home is here, you know, and they're all about here. And they can give a crap less of being famous. But Lacra's super famous because of his style. But anyways, there's people like him, Chanok, Scrappy. I mean, there's endless names that I can put
And
out
you
there.
also got supplies coming into Mexico. Where back in the day, supplies were not easy to come in into Mexico. We struggle
Well,
with that.
yeah, well, let me kind of stay on this subject real quick to not jump off. Um, but see, there was a lot of artists here, really good artists, but that weren't being recognized. And Alan and I got frustrated. And then thus he said, let's do a tattoo show, man. And our idea to do the show was um, we want some of the best tattoo artists around the world, and we want to sit them next to the best tattoo artists here in Mexico. You know what I mean? So yeah,
Yeah,
we
they
had
can
to be
compare notes.
so we had to be selective. And we went through a list like, hey, this guy's badass. Oh, this dude's fucking badass. Look at this guy, Pedro. Oh, look at this other dude. Look at, hey, let's invite Goet. Let's invite this guy. Let's invite this guy. So wanted to put a package of really good Mexican tattoo artists that all had a different style. You know what I mean? They all had different styles, but they were great tattoo artists. And then what we wanted to do was, and we did this at the show, we put one booth, extranjero, one booth national, one booth extranjero, one booth national, one booth. I didn't segregate all the extranjeros on this side and all the Mexicans.
Okay,
Hell
yeah.
no. We're mixing everybody together. We're mixing everybody together so they can meet each other, get to know each other, share contacts, open doors for themselves, you know? And
Yeah.
some of these like really good artists came down and they were blown away with the work that some of the Mexicans were putting out. And not just Mexicans, but Central Americans, guys from Panama, guys from Costa Rica, guys from Colombia, all that, Mexico. Latino America represented really strong at Viva, you know what I mean? And that was our goal. Our goal
Cool.
was to put our country on the map. our country as saying, hey, we have good quality. Just for some reason, like always, they don't ever want to look down at us. They're like, yeah, whatever. But now Mexico is, you know, known as a really good artist here. And different styles, and in the last few years, man, some of these new artists, they're killing it, man. They're killing it. And I like to think that Viva had a little bit to do of inspiring and motivating some of these people.
And when are you gonna have Viva this year? Let's cover the dates and times or the locations so people will know.
So Viva is going to be, it's always held on Dia de Muertos. We want to celebrate our loved ones that have passed away. And Dia de Muertos, Day of the Dead, for a lot of people that don't understand Dia de Muertos. Is Day of the Dead. So it's on the 31st of October, which is Halloween, the 1st of November, 2nd of November. Now, Dia de Muertos is always on the day 2nd. So we're actually planning on probably cutting the show down early, around 8 o'clock. We're going to shut it down, and we're going to take people to Tlaquepaque, which is an area here where they
Oh
have all the
fuck, I love that
altars and,
place.
and all the restaurants, and so a lot of people can get the beautiful vibe and understanding of our culture, and how we celebrate the Dia de Muertos. It's not a party, it's a ritual. A lot of people think Dia de Muertos is a party thing. Well, for a lot of people that don't live here it's a ritual, and it's a beautiful ritual that I think we have to share that with the rest of the world and have them understand that this is important to us. And Dia de Muertos is just as important to us as Christmas or any other big holiday. I mean, that's how
Mhm.
big it is. So we are going to do it on those dates. It's going to be in Salon Fiesta Guadalajara for some of our people that might be interested in coming down. It's also, we do seminars. We do seminars on Thursday. We always do it a day before the show because we want everybody to have access to be able to go to seminars, and the artists to do a seminar comfortably without being rushed.
Mhm.
So we do that. It's nice, it's comfortable, and then after the show, we take people out to tequila, and then we take them out to lucha libres as extracurricular activities for people that want to hang out in the city, and just hang out and check out Guadalajara because it's a beautiful city and we have great weather here. I mean, right now I think it's like 75 degrees. It's nice out here. I'm outside because it's too hot inside.
Man, that's nice because yesterday was cold over here. Today was actually kind of nice. We're doing the weather report too. He reports from Guadalajara. I report from Reno, cold ass fucking Reno. But
Yeah,
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
sorry, bro. That's the one
we
thing I
just
don't
we
miss.
just cover the weather.
A lot of people always ask me. Well, I tattoo a lot of people from the States. I mean, I've been fortunate lately in the last 5, 6 years. I mean, I've always tattooed a lot of people from over there, but now it's just like common now. It's like at least once or twice a week I tattoo people from the States. And
Good, you're bringing in commerce.
yeah, but anyways, they always ask me, "What do you miss about over there?" I tell them, dude, the only thing I miss is the lowrider scene. I miss the lowrider scene,
But you got
but I
your
don't
own
miss the
rider
goddamn
seat in your
cold.
fucking garage. How many cars you got now that I'm hearing you got too
I,
many?
I don't miss the cold, man. I don't miss the fucking cold at all. Like
Uh,
I realize that I'm a tropical person.
Oh, am I, fucker? I hate it over here.
Yeah,
I want to get deported back to Mexico so I can
yeah.
enjoy the Mexican
I
weather.
tell people that I'm like, man, we're tropical people, man. We're not meant to be fucking cold. We're not snow Mexicans.
No,
Yeah,
especially man. Uh, Finally, it's beginning to get. You know how fucking May it goes up to 80, and then the next day it drops down to 50, and it goes up to 80, and it
yeah.
drops.
Well, I mean, just for some of the audience to let them understand. I mean, I lived in Reno for what 35 years, so it's not like I don't know the goddamn weather there. Um, I mean,
We used to go fishing at 7
and
degrees, 7 below.
my
Remember
yeah,
we went fishing?
when I said it was bullshit, when it was my birthday in June, and it was fucking. It started. We had a snow shower that day. Started raining, and then out of nowhere, we had snowflakes, and it's fucking June 20th. I'm like, this is bullshit.
Just like
fucking
that video. This is bullshit. This is bullshit. That video they
yeah.
gave.
I was like, man, I am not dealing with this. I was never happy. There were so many times I wanted to move down to San Diego or somewhere else. For a long time, I wanted to just be in warmer weather. And I think that part of it is that too, because is the lowrider scene and all that. Because with the lowrider scene, um, in Reno, you can't take it out there in the snow time. So you got what?
Three
May,
months,
June,
maybe two
July,
months,
August, four,
maybe two
maybe
months.
5 months to go out and take out your car so they don't have sand or what's it called yeah, they put sand on the roads. I
Yeah,
remember having my
the
cars
salt.
all painted. My cars were all painted nicely. And 2 weeks later, because I lived up, I had to get a highway. My car was all pivoted and shit like that. So that's one of the reasons I wanted like to go to a warmer climate, because you're able to enjoy your motorcycles. I mean, I airbrush motorcycles, and those guys would drop off their motorcycle in October and then pick it up like in April. Because I mean, they couldn't do anything with their motorcycle. They didn't want to go out cruising in goddamn snow and shit like that, or freezing your ass off. And even if it's not snowing, it's still fucking cold, like 20-degree weather at night.
Yeah, I mean, if you want motorcycle weather, you got to go L.A., San Diego, or even the San Francisco is not that great of weather for motorcycles. They got that fog coming in, and it's cold as fog or cold as weather. One time we went fishing and fucking in July in San Francisco, and fuck, man, we didn't even know how cold it got because of the fog, and we expected to be warm. The people were
Yeah,
laughing at us. We showed up in shorts, you
yeah,
know.
yeah. No, that's happened to me in San Francisco. You're absolutely right. I went fishing there one day and I took a tank top. And I feel that was horrible. Someone let me borrow their jacket, but yeah, I mean, I that's the only thing. I mean, I like the States. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I had a great time over there. I lived half my life over there. Um, was raised over there. I mean, I learned how to tattoo there. Uh, and the reason I liked tattooing back then was because of got to see all the homeboys tatted up in the hood. And I started seeing these veteranos with tattoos, and I thought they were cool. And I started tattooing, and eventually, from having our machines and you having an apprenticeship with Kelly, I ended up coming down to Mexico. For a lot of people that don't know, um, I came down to Mexico in 1995, and so I was here for 6 years almost. Yeah, 6 years. I was here for 6 years, but during that time, I opened up my tattoo shop, and it happened to be the first tattoo shop in the city of León, Guanajuato, and
Which you should be very proud of that, carnal. You should be very proud of that.
at that time, it was just more of a survival thing. You know, it
Yes,
was.
we
It was just.
didn't.
It was 100% survival. It wasn't. Now that I look back on it, and people tell me this, not me saying it. People that are like, oh no, we knew about you. Your shop was heard that you had a real professional shop, that you actually had all the permits, and you had all the health department permits, and you had all the licensing, and you had everything, and that you were like paying taxes and doing everything. I'm like, really? You guys knew about all that? They're like, yeah, you were like the first real legit tattoo shop, and at least in this area. I believe Kiki had a shop up in TJ. I'm not sure if he opened a year or a year after me, but there
Mhm.
was some other artists that had already had their shops here in Guadalajara. There were smaller shops, and I don't know if they were registered or not. That I am unaware, but they had been here before. So here in Guadalajara, there had been other shops already before me. So I can't take any credit saying I was the first shop in Mexico. I could
First of
confidently say
Leon,
I was probably one of the first shops in the country, first 5 professional tattoo shops in the country. I think. I think it's like I was, because there was a couple other ones before me here in
well,
Mexico.
Mexico only had a few. A lot of them, they would open up, and not everybody had legitimacy paperwork and this and that. Like
Well,
Leon
there was
had
no legitimacy because there was no
no
no law.
regulations, no regulations, no law. I think you were part of the law creating the laws. And
Well,
Leon, right?
what happened was I knew I had to go to the health department and see what I had to get. And so before that, before all that even happened, let me tell you one thing. When I started telling everybody that I was going to open a tattoo shop, everybody's jaw dropped and said, "Are you crazy? That's illegal. That's against the law in our country." And I said, "Nah, there's no way that could be against the law. It's against the law." I go, "Dude, a lot of these people, they just like getting information from their comadre or their compadre that have no legitimacy. There's no
Old
legit."
school Google. Old school
Yeah, I
Google.
mean, it was just, and I was like, "Nah, I don't believe this." So I went down to City Hall here, and I asked them, and they said, "You know what? We don't know ourselves either." They're like, "Give me a week, and I'll give you a response." And I went back a week, and she's like, "You know what? We looked into it. There's not a law in favor of tattooing, but there's also not a law against tattooing. So it's like pretty much neutral zone. So it's like open game. We'll try to figure it out with you." And
Yeah.
so they wanted me to use certain inks that were called tintas vegetales, and I interpreted that as food dye. And I'm like, "I'm not using food dye to tattoo. Are you crazy? I'm gonna use professional pigments. And
Yeah.
and so it was going back and forth with the health department for about a month and a half before I got the permit. In fact, they had already called in Mexico and that's where Chacal comes in. Chacal had already opened the shop in Mexico City.
I
And so
remember Chacal. That was such a cool show we did in Mexico City with Chacal.
yeah, so Chacal, and so I guess they went off of what Chacal had already done. So he kind of had already done a couple things that kind of these guys looked into how he did it, and then they said, "Look, there's a guy in Mexico City. They did it this way, and we're just kind of maybe do something similar." And I said, "Fine, let's do it however we have to." Which part of it was weird. We had to have a doctor be responsible of your establishment. Like they needed someone to be responsible. And since I guess we didn't have legit papers as being
Medical.
having the bloodborne pathogen certificates. No one got none of that shit back then. It didn't exist because there was no fucking law. so, so that was one of the things we had to have a guy, some doctor, just basically co-sign for us and say, "Yeah, these guys are not going to give you a disease." And so that we did that for a long time. I worked that way. I had to pay some doctor that I didn't even know really. He'd just come in and pick his paycheck and leave.
A little extortion money for this motherfucker, we can say.
I guess if you want to put it that way, but that's how it was. And but we opened up legally. We opened up the shop. We had our permits, and it was cool. I mean, it was a lot of learning, a lot of trial and error. And I think one of the things that I really liked about that time is how eager everybody was to really learn and understand this. Because I think a lot of us were really trying to understand a tattoo machine. And now, for a lot of people that are from this generation, this new generation that have only been tattooing with pens, tattoo machine was a whole different ball game. If you didn't know how to tune up your tattoo machine, imagine this. It's like drawing with a pencil. And you know how many times we've broken the tip, but it didn't fall out, right? It still stayed
Mhm.
in there. And then you still try to write with it, because you're too lazy to go get it sharpened. So you're like, "Fuck it, I'm gonna keep writing this way." But you notice it's not a full extension of your hand.
You're having more problems than
Then
results.
solutions, right? So imagine that's how a tattoo machine worked when it was not tuned up. Your hand and your mind and what you wanted to create, you already had it in your head. But if the machine wasn't responding the way you wanted it to, it was not interpreting what you need to interpret on the skin. And so for a lot of us old timers, we had to go through that. And that was a constant thing. And you finally tuned up a machine and it was working fucking great. And then you walk by and you pull your clip cord and your whole machine falls on the floor. And now it's out of tune. That was like just as bad as you crashing your car.
Yes, I remember that. Moving the table, your power supply fell down, and you just lost. And to order another power supply, it's going to take a month to get it delivered.
Yeah, or even if it was a week or two, but now you're like, what am I gonna do now? You know? I mean, it was complicated times, but it was challenging and it was fun. It was fun trying to learn it. And see, I think that's what I miss about that time. I mean, I'll be very clear. I do use the pen machines. I have
Yeah,
a lot of them,
they're good. They're
and
good.
they're
They're
all
good
cordless
machines. I
machines.
call them
So
dildos, but they're great.
yeah. So just to make it clear, I do that. You know, I do use cordless machines, but I also used coil machines for 28 years of my life. 28 years of me using coil machines, and they got me where I'm at. So yes, there's a love for them and there's a cariño for them. You know, you have them in a part of your heart because they are part of you. You know,
I still
and
got mine, cabron.
yeah, I got all of my machines on it. I'm not selling them. You know, in fact, I'm trying to make a center table at the shop. I hope. Maybe I'm not going to say this one because people might steal this idea, and I don't want to see it online. I'll be pissed. But I'm going to do a nice display with my tattoo machines. I am. I am. It's going to be
Cool,
like the center part, you know, of the
cool,
shop.
cool.
So, um, anyways, I think that was the difference, you know, that as artists, you know, like nowadays, if you go up to someone and say, what rotary machine are you using? Oh, I'm using the Bishop. Oh, I'm using the Flux. Oh, I'm using, you know, some other machine. They're not all that much different, you know. Some of them, yes, they hit harder. Some of them hit softer. Some of them are more consistent, this and that. But it's like, oh, okay. What stroke are you using? 3.5. Oh, I'm using 4.2. That's it.
Yeah.
That was it. That's it. You know. Oh, what brand of needles? Does it really matter? But but back then was like, hey dog, are you using a copper screw? Are you using a platinum screw? Or are you using a silver screw? Because you know, a lot of
Each
people
one of them
understand
was a
that
different head.
the machine itself was a conductor itself. That's why it shocked you. If you grabbed it from both sides, you get shocked. It'll burn clear
Right?
for you. And so even what the machine was made out of, if it was iron or cold press iron, or if it was bronze
Aluminum.
or aluminum or stainless steel or this or that, and you realize this sucks, this doesn't, this works. What's even the frame shape, the dimensions of the frame, all that mattered on how that machine worked. Whether it was a liner, whether the spring was a 12 gauge, I mean, not 12 gauge, 18 gauge, 20 gauge, 22 gauge. You know what I mean? How big is your gap? How short is your gap? How many coils does your machine have? What kind of core? This and that. So it was almost like talking to someone that was in hot rods, and you go up to them, and I'm like, "What do you have in yours?" Well, I got, you know, a Coyote blah 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 engine in my Ford. Oh shit, I got an LS3 and this and that with a blower and you know, this and that. And so
And then I pull up in my Tesla, my electric Tesla, you know.
kinda, yeah. And so I mean, from the cool factor, from the cool guys, we're all like fucking nerd. Right?
But you
I
know,
mean,
that's
you know,
comparison for people
for
that want to
fucking
understand
nerd.
a little.
You know, so yeah, it took us a while for us to make that change from the coil machines to the dildos. You know,
And also the fact that in our shop we were constantly fucking around with different needle setups, different needle stacks, different. I mean, it was a very experimental shop. We were constantly experimenting with needle groupings.
I don't know if you remember, there was a time that we stacked them. Remember, we had a
Yeah,
four
the double
stack.
stacks. Yeah.
Yeah, we had double stack magnums. We did that, and you know, I didn't know, but years later, you know, meeting Yoichi and Yushi and even Akira from the families over there, dude, they use stacked needles.
Uh
That's
huh.
what's so crazy. They do use stacked needles on the Tabori, but the thing is, they always have one pushed up a little higher. So because of the angle, so that way the needles, and that's something we didn't really do. We had them all the same, and they actually pushed them like this. So when they push it, they all go in the same depth. But and it was also crazy because they weren't magnums; they were flats, flats on
Hmm.
top of flats. But I think because it was hand poked, there wasn't that much trauma as the machine putting that needle 30 times more than 2 or 3 times, of a tabori. I think that's why it works for tabori to have double stack flats.
Mhm.
And I was actually pretty impressed. I was like, whoa, that's cool because I used to do that, and now these guys they still do it. Like, and that's what one of the cool things about Japanese tattooing is that they still, do things that old school way. But yeah. And anyways, that was an interesting point for me. That I was like, damn, that's cool. That a lot of us were experimenting. Someone in Japan, someone in the hood, someone in county jail,
Yeah,
someone, someone in their shop here in Mexico. We were all trying to figure it out, and I think that was the coolest part of the whole journey. Is that when you ran into another tattoo artist, you really had a lot of shit to say to each other. If
yeah,
you
you had
actually
a
got
lot to talk about.
yeah, if you actually were fortunate to get along with them, and we bypassed that whole macho shit, because a lot of people also got to remember, now it's all fucking, oh my God, we're all politically correct, and we're all fucking, okay, that's all a whole other subject, but we come from a fucking time that our clients were crackheads and alcoholics and meth heads and fucking drug dealers and gangbangers and
Fuck
bikers.
yeah. Real
Those were
hardcore
all our fucking
motherfuckers.
clients. So I mean, we came from another time, that was like, ah man. I mean, we didn't come from these soft times and shit, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
like I tell people, there was a little more rebelness. There was a little more political craziness. You know, people were getting really meaningful, impactable tattoos. Then here comes
that
Miami Ink and some of these shows, and they
it
started
changed
showing
up
the
the whole
10 minute
dynamic.
down.
It did. It changed the whole dynamic. Um, it did, you know. But if you happen to get along cool with another tattoo artist, you guys would share all kinds of fucking information.
Hmm.
Because back then there was still a lot of ego. A lot of artists wouldn't even talk to each other.
Oh yeah,
And
it was. And you would walk into some of the shows, and this guy come in with his entourage. And some of them were nice to share with, and some of them like, no, our boss says we can't talk to you. You know, I
but
remember
we
going
did
to
that.
one
I'm not
booth.
gonna lie. I did that a couple times.
Yeah, well,
I've had people tell me they're like that they came into the shop and told me, "Hey, what ink you using?" I'm like, "None of your business." I'm like, I said that. They're like, "Yeah, dude, you just straight told me. I ain't gonna tell you goddamn thing. Get the fuck out of my shop."
well, yeah, it's kind of like
But
they
that's how
have
we
to.
grew up. We grew up. Because that's we weren't handed down anything.
No,
We weren't.
it wasn't
We were all
handed
trying
down
to
to
figure
us.
it out. We're all talking with other artists, and when you were fortunate enough to talk to another artist that knew more than you, I learned to shut the fuck up and listen to these guys and absorb whatever they say. Because a lot of the times I realize if I'm talking, especially if I'm talking like an old timer, that I've been fortunate to hang out with some really cool old timers in the industry, and when they talk, dude, I shut the fuck up because they already been there, done that 100 times. They don't want to hear my fucking story because what are you telling them? The story something they already probably did 100 times. So no, I want to shut the fuck up and listen to their story. I might learn something. One of the greatest things that I mean, even Brian Everett, he gave me some good advice one day, and I took it to heart. And I want to say thank you, Brian, because man, that dude gave me some good advice, and I fucking put it to work. And life is good. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Life is
I
good.
mean, I met Kashimansky in Mexico. He gave me some good advice. You know
Yeah.
how I am, but I was also careful not to piss off Kelly, because then I get home and what the fuck were you doing and why were you sharing this, you
Yeah,
know, and
that's also something I haven't really talked to anybody about that. I don't really talk to anybody about that situation with him, and
no,
and when
because
no, it's crazy because when they Kiki Platas, we were in Cancun or Los Cabos, and I got more tattoos now, but he when I took them off my shirt, he's like, "You need way more tats, bro. How come you're not fully tatted?" And I told him the story. I'm like, because I had a fucking boss back then that was so fucking jealous that if I went and got tattooed somewhere else, because I started my arm with him, but he never fucking finished it. But if I would go somewhere else, he'd basically fire my ass,
us called us, you
you
know.
know? And so, honestly, I felt, now I feel like, man, he held us back so much. I get it. He opened up the doors for us. And I'll say this, like, I respect the dude, and whatever
Yeah.
happened between us, I'm not going to talk about it. It stays between us, um, but that's what it is. I respect the dude, but that's about it. But there's nothing else I'm going to say about that.
Hmm.
Um, but for me, I think once I was out of that situation, I wasn't going to hold back. And not even that idea of, oh, you know, I don't want to talk to this guy. I'm like, no, because I got tired of the gangbanging ideology that, oh, he doesn't talk to this guy. I don't talk to this guy. And to this day, I told myself, I'm going to stop that shit. And I have my homeboy, like my good homeboy Edgar. Edgar one time told me about an artist. He's like, hey, you talk to that fool? And I said, yeah. And he's like, fuck that fool. And I'm like, why do you always say fuck that fool? And then he's like, well, because I don't like him. And then later on, I asked him, why don't you like him? And then he's like, oh, because I was dating his sister. And he doesn't like me. And I'm like, well, that seems to be a you problem. That's not
That's
a
not my issue.
that's not my problem. I'm
When I
like,
started with homie, he had a business card that said hated worldwide. I thought tattoos were hated worldwide. And then I got into, oh shit, I'm in the mix in a way where he had enough beef with all the tattoo artists, all the magazines. That's the best way I can kind of just tell people. I work with hated worldwide,
yeah,
which it wasn't easy.
yeah. I mean, I learned a lot at the shop. I learned also, I think the most that I learned from him was how he ran the shop. But I
Mhm.
also learned to not make a lot of mistakes he made.
Oh yeah, I believe me. I'm still
Let me
suffering from
grab
the
a beer.
mistakes.
Sorry, give me a sec.
No problem. We can edit this out.
Yeah, it's just like had a beer in the little fridge. Um,
Lucky.
um. Well, I'm not gonna get too much into that, but
Nah, let's
um,
talk about fishing. What's going
well,
on with Mr. Fishing with you?
uh, okay, I guess yeah, we'll change the subject that way.
Yeah,
Uh,
let's take it.
um, fishing's cool down here, man. That's one of the things I do. Like, I do tell myself, like, my wife and I have talked about once we retire, if we want to go live in another country. Because after I got deported, one of the things that I wasn't afraid anymore to just make decisions and go live life however the fuck I wanted to. When I say that I wanted to move to San Diego, I wanted to move to San Diego, but I wouldn't do it because my family was in Reno and I couldn't leave my family, and there were so many reasons. But
Hmm.
then life forced me, and I came down here, and then I started going fishing here, and the fishing's fucking amazing down here. And I told my wife, I don't know if I could retire and go anywhere else because I can't live without fishing. And I'm not going to go fish in Amsterdam, and especially not those fucking waters, cold ass fucking.
How
They
about
don't even.
Japan? Would you go fishing in Japan?
I did. I went twice in Japan, and so the first time I went fishing all the way to Japan, and I didn't get a goddamn fish.
You got skunked on a low fishing trip like that? Like,
Oh
remember when we drove all the way to Folsom to catch a little tiny bass and we came back so proud with?
yeah, um,
Oh
I
my
was
God.
fishing. I was fishing. I mean, yeah, I went. I didn't catch shit, so I went again. And the second time I did catch a barrilete, which is it's a skipjack. It's probably like about a foot and a half, 2 feet long. A skipjack. It's part of the tuna family,
Okay.
and so you can eat it. I mean, it's good eating. Like I make sashimi out of it and stuff like that. You can make sushi and stuff out of it. It's good. Um, but it's a skipjack, and like there's millions of them here in Mexico. When we go when we go fishing, we're in the boat and we literally look over to the sides and you can see the pods of all the skipjacks eating. And
Yeah.
sometimes I'm like, yeah, just pull over real quick, let me cast, boom, and I'll get one because they're easy to catch and we catch them all the time. I mean, they're almost like a nuisance. You know what I mean? In fact, people use the skipjacks as bait for marlin.
Okay.
So,
What
and
what about barracuda? You got any barracuda in that area?
We have barracuda in southern Mexico, which is more in Yucatan, which is in the Laguna,
Okay.
in Cancun. So Cancun is you got the ocean, and then the other half is the lagoon, which is there's still salt water, but the Laguna is a very cool area that probably the deepest it gets is probably like 7 to maybe about 10 feet deep, you know.
Holy shit.
And
That's
so
hella.
yeah, it's like how you see on the shows where they have a flat boat and then they're pushing themselves and then the guy's on top and he's like, hey, there's fish at 3 o'clock. There's fish here. So
Okay.
there's tarpon there. There's
Oh,
tarpon. There's snook. Right next to the manglars, there's toros, which is from the jack family, like Jack Trevallies.
okay.
There's pampanos. Those are really hard to get.
I like
Um,
this. I like all these Mexican names. I never heard of these names for these fishes, because I'm watching fishing in the U.S. and they got all these different names.
Well,
I
yeah,
like
I
the
mean it's the same
Mexican
fish.
names.
It's just the pampano is I forgot the name of it in English, but I mean you have a lot of different fish, but you also get barracudas there, and it's cool because I mean you're fishing in about a meter of water. Meters like 3 feet deep, so you can jump off the boat and you're not gonna drown. You'll be like to your waist.
Oh
But
damn!
there's also sharks there and shit. There's alligators too, you know. So I
Oh
mean
fuck!
I don't recommend you do that. Yeah, I mean, and there's also big giant stingrays like they'll go right under the boat. It's pretty cool. Like I've been out fishing about 4 times out of the Laguna when I go to Cancun.
Oh
I can't go to a place with water and not go fish. It's just the rule. I told Melissa, just get. Don't even think I'm not going to go somewhere where there's water and I'm not going to fish.
yeah, it's kind of like me going to Hawaii. I couldn't wait, and then they told me you don't need a license and shit. It's like really? I went and bought a fucking fishing rod and caught me an octopus. That was the coolest fucking thing I ever caught. Was an octopus with a fishing rod.
Wow,
And I brought in a fucking octopus, and I got to touch him, and he changed all colors. The fucker must have been, the tentacles were about this big, so
that's a good
and
size. It's a
and
good
it
size.
was pretty cool with what it was doing, and I let him go. I was doing the John Cousteau shit. You let the wildlife live. It was the coolest fucking thing ever, man.
Well, I do that. I definitely like. I really respect nature. Um, Honestly, I think fishing is what's kept me sane and well, a little bit of this, um,
Yeah, I
but
wish I could drink. That shit hurts my gut number now, man. I can't do that no more.
and I enjoy beer. But no, I like going fishing. So that's the thing. I'm like I couldn't see myself leaving this country just because the fishing's so good. I mean, I go to Aguamilpa, which is a lake about 3 hours away. You can catch on a good day. On a good day, you can catch about 250 fish. You were part of that. You got to see it, and that we fished half a day. And we caught over 250 fish. And people don't believe us, you
Okay,
know.
remember I said, that's it, bro. I'm done. Let's put
Yeah,
down the
you
rod.
gave up. You're
I
like, I'm
got
done. I'm
tired
like,
of fucking
really?
catching these motherfuckers, man. I never caught so much fish in my life until that day. That was insane.
And that was a 6 hour time. We didn't even do a full day, you know? I mean, there's days that I by myself in Picachos, I caught, this is right after COVID. So right after they opened up here in Mexico, we only shut down 2 months, the
Hmm.
whole COVID thing. And then Mexico reopened up and we were back to work. So as soon as they opened up the lodge, the owner of the lodge called me and she's like, hey, do you want to come and fish? Because no one had been fishing there for like 3 months. And obviously, nobody was flying down to Mexico to fish. It's mostly American people that fish there. And I said, hell yeah, I want to go fish. It was just me and another group of people that was like two other people with their kids. And that was it on the whole lake. I shit you not, I caught probably like 370 fish
Don't
throughout
tell
the day.
people that they're gonna call you a liar, way, because they were calling you a
Throughout the
liar
day.
all over the place.
I mean, I got to a point where I was just smoking a joint, and we got to a spot where we just dropped the anchors on my bass boat, and we went to a really shallow area, and we just started casting. There was a bunch of rocks in that area. It's probably like 8 feet deep, and I didn't even really realize it, but I was sitting there talking with the guide, and we sat there for about 4 hours because we got high and we started bullshitting, and we talked for about 4 hours. And this whole time he's helping me take the fish off. And then he looked at me. He's like, "Fool," he goes, "You've been fishing for like 4 hours and haven't stopped catching a fish. Almost every cast has been a fish. I'm tired." I'm like, "Oh shit!" And he goes, "And so far you have about." At that time, he's like, "You have about 300 fish." My clicker. I have my clicker.
Oh, he had the clicker.
I was like, oh shit. I'm like, really? He goes, "Yeah, can we go somewhere else, see if we can catch other fish?" So we did, and we went topwater fishing and probably caught another 50 topwater fishing with poppers. And
Damn.
that's Mexican lakes here because it's all due to the weather, because the bass are more of a warm water fish, and they just reproduce much faster in warm water. And we don't really ever get cold. We never freeze up. We don't. None of our lakes freeze up. So all that has to do with the fishing, and also because bass fishing isn't a big sport here in Mexico. I mean, the
No.
U.S. is a huge sport. Here, it's basically almost an underground sport. I mean, I'd be lucky to run into other people that are fishermen and that they like fishing, and but like most of the people don't know about fishing. So I guess it's a good thing for us because we don't have that fishing pressure over here. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
We don't have that fishing pressure.
we were talking that maybe you should do a podcast. You should do a podcast about fishing stories. Just come back. Hey, we just had a fishing day, and tell your fishing. Then you plug in your
Yeah, they've
and
told me that. I'm like, why don't you open your fishing channel? I'm like,
no, just do a podcast about your fishing
oh,
experiment, your fishing
oh,
shit. Because
yeah,
it's
I gotta think about it. I
you
mean, I've had some experiences fishing. I mean, don't get me
and
wrong.
it's something you're gonna enjoy, and it's
Want me to tell you a good story?
yeah. Tell me a good story.
This CBD infused cream provides targeted comfort with a zesty, refreshing scent. Find your relief today at ktapothecary.com.
Welcome to Graffiti City, your one-stop shop for graffiti supplies. From spray paint to markers, caps, and merch, we've got it all. Let's get creative. GraffitiCityNV.com.
So we were gonna go to San Pancho, to our hometown, and
Uh-huh.
we were supposed to go to a quinceañera, but it wasn't until like late. It was like the quinceañera was gonna be like 7 or 8 o'clock. So it was Saturday morning. I wanted to go fishing. There's a lake here about 40 minutes away. I had a kayak, and it
Okay.
had stabilizers. Stabilizers like these big old balloons on the side, right?
Okay.
And so when I put everything on, and my suit and all that, I go out on the kayak, and the little float, not the stabilizers, which keep you from tipping over. I noticed that they were kind of like pushed back in like this angle instead of like in a 90 degree angle. But I put them in a 45-degree angle when you're moving because you can go faster through the water. But anyways, I'm fishing for hours, caught a few fish. I went all the way to the other side of the lake because they had an electric trolling motor and I had a battery on it. So I was cruising. I was going fast. Of course, I had my life jacket on and all that, right? And I get up to go pee because I needed to pee. And I did my thing, but I noticed it was really unstable. I'm like, oh, fuck. I left the flaps going this way instead of 90. I go, you know what? Let me put them 90. Now, typically, you're supposed to do this on land. My dumb ass turned around and moved one, and I was like, cool, perfect. As soon as I moved the other one, it flipped. And it flipped and it sucked. But I was really like close to the edge. But it was deep. It was like 20 feet deep.
Oh shit!
So
Did
I
you lose
swim
your
over.
gear?
I grabbed the cat. No, actually, I was worried. I mean, these are really nice G Loomis rods. So I grabbed my boat, swim over to the side, and flip over the kayak. Luckily, all my gear was on the kayak. Everything was on there. I'm like, oh shit, the rods, everything. I was like, that's retarded. I got really lucky, you know. So I just got the water out of the kayak the best I could, and I'm all wet, and I'm like, this sucks. I'm going back home. I'm going back home, and I'm going to that quinceañera. I just wanted to go out for a couple hours and fish. Anyways, I start going, and I'm wet. I'm grabbing my phone, and I'm worried my phone's all wet too, and that I ruined my iPhone. The next thing I know, I put the trolling motor on everything it can go.
So
So
you're
it's going.
you
So it's going, and I'm over here trying to get the phone going, and I'm about 300 yards away from the edge, and I notice the front end of the kayak starts doing this, and I look up and I look back, and the back end of the the kayak is underwater. I never took the water out of the inside of the kayak. It took in a lot of water inside the kayak. So it's not funny now though. I mean, so the stabilizer breaks.
Ay,
The
cabrón.
trolling motor, so the kayak flipped upside down, but I had the trolling motor going at everything it can go. So it took off.
It was its own weight.
But I'm 300 yards away from the edge, fool, at about 70 feet deep.
Fuck, bro. Now you're really like, if I gonna die fishing, I gotta get swimming.
No, that's exactly what I said, bro. Luckily, I never took off my life jacket, even though it employed it. It was open because it's one of the ones that has a sensor. You fall in the water and they expand it.
Uh-huh.
So luckily, I never took it off. And if I would have taken it off, which I thought about it because I wanted to dry myself off, if I wouldn't have taken off, I would have died. I would have not been able to swim 300 yards, bro. That's the size of 3 football fields.
Yeah, that's a long way. And you're in the middle of the fucking thing, and then also
And there
you're
was no one with me. I was out in the lake by myself.
ay, cabrón. And no phone, no service, no nothing.
Bro, the phone was in the water, and you think I'm trying to call someone while I'm in the lake?
No, that's what I'm saying.
What the
You have
fuck am I
one of
gonna do?
those I
Call
should
someone and
be
say, "Hey, I'm
alive.
drowning"?
Help, help.
No, hell no, bro. You know what? Your survival instinct jumped in. As soon as I saw that kayak leave and I saw the edge, and I'm like, "Holy fuck, I'm far." I started swimming. Started doing it. Started swimming. Started, and I didn't want to panic because I knew if I panicked, I'll die. I told myself, if you panic, you will die. You will die.
Take it slowly
Lay
and
the
keep
fuck
going.
down.
Keep
Do
going.
not paddle. Do not swim fast. Do not overdo it. You will get a cramp. If you trip out, you will die. And I started swimming, and I had the goddamn phone in my goddamn hand for about 20 minutes. And I look around, and I'm still really far away. I'm like, no mames. I throw the phone down. I took my gloves off. I'm like, fuck this. Let's get to swimming. And I swam. I swam all the way to the edge to the edge. It took me about 40 minutes, man, in the water,
Chinga su madre.
tired. And finally, I get to the edge. I just start seeing trees pass by. I'm like, fuck, I'm really close to the edge. And as soon as I got to the edge, I just started screaming for help. And luckily, there was someone across the lake that heard me. And they sent over a little drone. And he's like, and I'm like, hey, I'm over here. They came out with a little boat. They picked me up and got the kayak. Um, that was I told myself I might not make it out of this one.
Ay, cabrón. Well, I'm glad you made it, cabrón, because you got a story to tell, and I'm glad we didn't have to go find your floating body out there in the fucking lake like that. That
Yeah,
was where? That was on the way from on the way to San Pancho. Is there a lake, or was it close to
yeah.
San
There's a
Pancho?
lake on the way there, but like this wasn't even like Melissa was still asleep. This is like 7 o'clock in the morning. The sun was barely coming up. You
The
know,
one when Melissa might worry about you going fishing, you came back. What happened? Nothing, honey. I fell in the water. That's all.
no, I told her, and I sold the kayak after that. I sold it.
You
I just
told that the deadly. I did that kayak thing one time. Pinche homie let me borrow his kayak. We went camping. I tried that shit. That shit is scary. That shit is not safe. And then if you flip, you have to learn how to unflip yourself because you're all bound up in there with your feet. It is weird,
Yeah.
fucking really
People
weird.
always ask me when I tell them the story. They're like, "Why don't you just grab the kayak and flip on it?" it took off because it had a trolling motor. Like, when it flipped, it was gone. It was fucking gone. I was like, oh, okay. What the fuck am I gonna do? You know, it was gone. It took off.
That's fucking crazy, man. It's not like you were tethered to the. Sometimes they have those little things where you strap onto it.
Yeah, and it wasn't one of like those trolling motors that like that. It's a trolling motor that you just lift and go like this, you know. So that's the
Mm-hmm.
thing. When it flipped, it just flipped upside down and it was stuck that way, and it just took the fuck off. You know, so
Well,
that
now
was
you
one.
told the story.
Yeah, that was an interesting one. And then I come home, and then this is what my wife tells me: you should take swimming lessons. I just swam 300 meters.
you just proven that you're a good swimmer. You made it back.
I'm like, she's like, yeah. I go, she goes like, couldn't it have been better if you do it this way? Not with the life jacket, you'll drown. You go face forward. She's like, oh, I'm like, geez, babe. I'm like, just be
You have to
happy I'm
go the
here.
doggy paddle all the way back.
Yeah, yeah. She's like, I'm like, no, no, that's not made for that.
Oh my god, that's funny as hell. Well, I'm glad you didn't you recover on that, and you got a good story to tell. I shouldn't be alive like
Well, yeah,
that.
I mean, that was the second time. The first time it was in the ocean too, but I made that one too. I survived that one, the ocean one. And that was scary too because Anthony was with me and he thought I was a goner, but
How come on?
I was able to make it.
Anthony's, can I get your car, Dad? Are you okay? Or he was really stressed out?
He was crying, dude, and he knew
Ay, cabrón.
I couldn't make it back to the boat.
Ah, cabrón.
Yeah, yeah. So, but I made it, and that one was really close too. I threw up all the water and I body cramped. I didn't fall off the boat. What happened was I was really sick from my stomach, and the guy kept saying, "Go on the edge of the boat," and I'm like, "No, dude, it's not that type." You know, like I want to go on shore. And we're in an area where the the it's not shallow; it's pretty steep. So the big
Okay.
waves were hitting there, and so he's like, "Look, I can pull over to that beach, but I can't pull over too close because the boat will flip over. The waves are breaking there, and they're pretty big." I'm pretty confident. I'm a decent swimmer, and I said, "Dude, I got this. I'll swim all the way over there." You know, and I jumped off the boat, made it all the way to the beach, did what I had to do. On the way back, I realized, oh shit, how am I gonna get it back on the boat? These waves were way bigger than I expected. I'm like, these are pretty big fucking waves.
And you had
Now,
no life jacket, or do you have a life
I
jacket
didn't have a
now?
life jacket on, dude. I didn't have anything. And this was me swimming maybe about 100 meters, 70 meters, close to about yeah, about 70 meters, 70 yards to get to the
Damn.
boat. So I started swimming, and then I did what penguins do. The wave comes up, go under the wave. Cool, I did it. Here comes another wave, go under it, come back up. Did it again. I'm doing good. I see another wave come, I go under it, come back up. But when I come back up, I come and get air. Another wave hit me right in my mouth. When as soon as I'm getting air, suffocated me. I got water in my mouth
Oh,
because I was
fuck.
inhaling. So now I got all this water and I got my wind knocked out, and I'm still like I don't know, maybe about 20 yards away from the boat, and I start swimming as fast as I can, as fast as my body would let me, and I couldn't breathe at the time. I was kind of throwing out water, and I was getting to the boat, and I couldn't. My body wasn't functioning anymore. Like I was having a hard time paddling, and luckily Angel reversed the boat as much as he could, and then just grabbed me, pulled me back on top. And I got up there, and as soon as I did that, I threw up all the water. And the weirdest thing that ever happened to me, my whole body cramped up. Like my whole body cramped up. My stomach, my legs, and I just crippled up and fell on the floor, and I was like convulsing,
Holy
and
shit,
because I was
bro.
cramping, and then finally I came, and yeah, but I made that. I made it that time too. That
You
was the
scared
time,
the
man.
fuck out of Anthony. That's what you did, cabron. Poor
Hey,
Anthony's
man.
got to remember that day.
I mean, I guess we all gotta, at least we we go in a way that we love. I mean, I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say. I'm, I'm more cautious now. I mean, I always take like life jackets and shit like that. But
You
we
make
do it.
fun of me when I don't take out the life jacket. Hey, take it out, no, cabrón. I'm not taking this shit out.
Well, the cool thing is like, but that's what I like. I mean, it's almost like an extreme, not an extreme sport. I'm not gonna say it's extreme, but it is. It's not. It's not a safe sport. And it is. So when we go out fishing out of Manzanillo, we go out on these like 21-foot, maybe 30-foot boats. They're nice boats. Don't get me wrong. They're nice fishing boats, and they're about 30 feet long, and they have a nice deck in front. But when we go right up to the rocks, if the water's calm, not a problem. We're casting at the rocks because we don't troll. I don't like trolling. I like going and casting at the rocks because you can catch all kinds of species and big fish too. But there's times that the water gets rough, and these guides are really good, man. I mean, some of these fishing guides, like the guy Kalule that I go out with, that dude's badass, man. He'll go right up to the rocks. We're talking 10, 15 feet away from the rock. And these waves are, they're pushing you. And he's got that boat in control. He knows his shit. But you're casting, and that's where you're catching. I mean, as soon as that bait hits really close to the rock, that's where you're catching these big ass toros and shit. And so, I mean, you got to be careful. You could fall. You can easily fall. I've fallen a few times, but not into the water. I've fallen into the boat, because I take my shoes off. You want to be barefoot. You want to get grip, and you're just casting. And maybe someone else is in the back of the boat. That's probably the safest spot. But the front of the boat is like the best because you have all these angles.
Yeah,
You have all
yeah.
these
You
rocks.
got your angles to go.
So I mean, and you always have an advantage in the front of the boat because it's the first presentation that hits the water. So it's just part of it. It's fun. But I think I'm gonna buy like two other little life jackets, a little tiny thin ones, because this last time I got worried with Anthony because he caught a few fish and then that boat was like this, and I was like, "Fuck! I hope he doesn't fall in." I'm sure it
Yeah.
would jump in, but with the waves hitting and all that, you can get hurt pretty bad if not.
There's
You
only
kidding?
what, three people in the boat, or the driver and you two.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, so it's not like once the driver gotta make sure the boat doesn't get dragged into against so he
yeah,
can't
yeah.
leave
So
the
it'd be
boat.
just
It's
my
up to
job to jump
Anthony.
in. But yeah, Melissa, she made a good point. She's like, "Hey, you just put those life jackets on." She's like, "Yeah, you're right. I got like five of them. Like next time I go, I'll probably buy a couple, and
Yeah,
take them with me
cabrón. And
because
especially knowing what your body's capable of. You're not young no more. You're past 50 now.
no, but that's what's keeping me fucking like. It's weird because someone else told me, he's like, "Dude, like, why you look so young?" And I'm like, "Cause I stay active, fool."
As you shave your head, if you let it grow, it'll look like this. You're
I
gonna
don't
have
want to let
white
it grow.
hair.
It won't look like that. It'll look like a porcupine.
I shave it and I look like you, but as soon as I
No,
let it grow, sale Santa Claus.
yeah, no, mine. I just honestly is like I stay active. I like that type of fish. It does. It's like an adrenaline rush.
Oh fuck yeah, I
I
remember,
hate
man.
trolling, dude. Trolling, I get bored. I'm like, rather go do
Trolling
something.
is almost like laying the bait out there. You know how we just throw one line, let the bait, and then we be casting flies, we be
To me,
casting
I
rooster
to
tails,
me, I
whatever.
feel like the boat catches the fish, and you don't even get to set the hook because the captain goes and boom, they set the hook for you, and then it's like you're a little kid. Here, you reel it in, and I'm like, what am I
Hey, like
retarded?
remember that day? Hey, remember that day when we went fishing and I had a catch shit at that fucking white boy. Hey, you want to bring this one in? Get the fuck out of here!
Yeah, pretty much that's the same. That's the same thing. I don't like feeling like that. I want to know that what I'm doing. So I mean, there's times that we don't go to the rocks. There's times like, hey, let's go get some gallos, which are these rooster fish. And those you typically stay at the beach. So it's cool. You get a nice rod, cast really far, get it as close to the beach where the waves are breaking, reel it in. And you could be doing that for 5, 6 hours, bro. But casting constantly, no stopping, boom. And you might not get a goddamn thing. I mean, I've been out there where I'm casting for 8 hours and not catch a goddamn thing. It's been days like that. There's days that I'm out there, but when I do hit something, when I go out there and boom, I hit something, that satisfaction is that much greater than me catching 10 fish on a trolling.
Do the roosters fight bit more than the Dorados?
The Dorados, yes, they do fight harder than the Dorados, definitely, depending on the size of the Dorado, but they do fight pound for pound. They fight harder than a Dorado. What Dorados are fun is because they jump. As
Oh,
soon
like
as you land
carpet.
the Dorado, Melissa told me that that was probably some of the funnest fishing she's done because we were just using live bait, little fish, boom, throwing on a light tackle, bass fishing gear, and the Dorados maybe about this big, they're not huge Dorados, but as soon as she would hook one on, maybe each Dorado would jump between 8 and 15 times, So
I can
they'll just
imagine.
and then just jump. And what's cool thing is when you see a school of Dorados, they're all around you, and the water's clear, so you see all these Dorados everywhere. And I'm over here throwing plastics, and I'm throwing not jigs, but like little crankbaits and stuff, but
Mhm.
they're with a small lip. They're like rapalas and shit. I'm throwing all these out, um, Yuzuris and all that. And that's because I want to catch them that way. I know I can catch it with the live bait. I don't want to catch it with live bait. I
No,
want to.
you want to try the lure. We always try the lure shit.
Yeah, that is an advantage. The other one that said it, but anyways, um, but yeah, Dorados are fun, and that season's about to start. So it's cool because when rainy season starts, it does kind of fuck up the bass fishing, because you have warm weather, like and the water's really low right now, most lakes. As soon as the rain season comes in, obviously those lakes, those reservoirs get full. So you have a lot of cold water, fresh water, also a lot of mud, a lot of debris coming down from the rivers. And imagine that's like a bass in a nice warm weather, and then suddenly a cold front comes in, cold water.
Oh,
They shocks them. They're cold-blooded animals, and the fishing kind of gets slow once the rainy season happens, and it kind of takes about a month and a half to recuperate, maybe sometimes up to 3 months to really recuperate. So yeah, like June, July, August, not the best times to come fishing, for bass. But
okay.
that's when it's the best time to go fishing for ocean fish.
For ocean fish.
Yeah, because now you're going to have so many species coming in because that same scenario that happens on the lake happens in the ocean. So the rainy season all the rain comes down, it brings all the debris and everything from palm trees and leaves, even human fucking waste like,
Yeah.
plastics and shit like that. But what it does, all that debris from the mountains through the rivers go into the ocean, and it creates these big currents of like and not necessarily garbage because that's rare. I'll see maybe one or two things of garbage, but that's rare. But what you do see is a lot of debris of like leaves and forages, like just floating on the water. But when that all that debris creates, it creates shelter. That
Go
the
ahead.
debris creates shelter for a lot of little fish. So a lot of
Oh,
little
okay.
fish. So you get plankton and all kinds of life. So now little fish come and eat on that. So it brings in all these different species of fish to come and eat wherever you see debris. And so, I mean, some of these guys, they go as far as they have these buoys out in the middle of the ocean, and they're not dumb. They go out and get like 20 palm leaves, and then they tie them to these buoys, and that just those 20 little leaves or
Mhm.
um, of palm trees, you'll have a shitload of dorados under there because there's like a little, I don't know, habitat under there.
You know what? I have seen scenes like that where they'll have palm trees, and I seen Dorados swimming under them
Uh
and
huh.
shit like that.
Oh, the,
Now
the
that I think about it,
Yeah. So as soon as that fishing is a little slow, I go right to the ocean fishing.
damn man,
And the
swear
ocean
to God, as
fishing
soon as
is even better when it's like the rainy season. You'll get dorados, you'll get skipjacks, you'll get all kinds of fish. There's just more wildlife, you know?
good. Well, I can't wait to go fishing. We did an hour and 20 minutes. Maybe we can cut it short today, and then we can
Okay.
do another one. But we cover some stuff. Follow Indio on Instagram. And we're gonna put his Instagram. Check out Viva La Tinta.
Yep.
And if anybody travels out to Mexico, go to Guadalajara. Check out Tatuajes de Reyes. Hopefully you got the right one, because apparently there's been
There's only
Fayuca.
one. Where it's only one.
It's only one. Tell them the street, so at least they know what street.
It's in Tepeyac 930 Chapalita. It's a nice neighborhood, and the shop is in a nice area. So if you're in the ghetto, that's not my shop. If it's a
All
nice
right.
area, that's my shop.
So you guys go to a nice area. Listen, I'll remember so I can put the address on the editing.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, it's Tepeyac
I was
930.
bragging about my new application and all this, and the whole time I wasn't even recorded. I'm sorry, bro. I feel like an idiot yesterday.
It happens, it happens.
I felt like what's his name from what's fucking Pedro and you're an idiot. Uh
I mean, I don't have a problem. We can always do this again. You know what I mean?
oh yeah, that's a cool thing. But all right, homie, you have a nice day. You take
Okay.
care. Hopefully you guys like fishing stories with Indio, tattoo stories, and all the fun stuff. You guys
Yeah,
have a
maybe
nice
next
one.
time we'll talk about all the shit that happened in the shop. Some good
Okay.
stories. I think people need to hear what really used to happen in real tattoo shops, not
Yeah.
some of this
It's a
what's
different
going on.
time.
What's going
It's a
on? Yeah,
different
but yeah. We'll tell good
okay,
stories
Jono.
about. All
I'll
right,
see you later.
people. Peace out.
Peace out.
All right, bye.
Bye.
Even when you feel low, you can still go. Even when you feel slow, you can still go. Even when there's no hope, you can still go. I never answer to no, man, I still go. Go, 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 yeah, go, go, go. Hit the line, I feel every single day. I'll be making moves till I'm buried in my grave. Through the system, I don't wanna be a slave. I've been doing shit my way, on the highway, and in the driveway is a nice range. Cause I'm grind through the climb, I invite pain. You'll never hear me, bitch, nah, I don't complain. Just gotta flip the switch and you can go and obtain anything you want, anything you need. Your mind's got the key ingredient, it's belief. They will see the connectivity, but I just slide right by that energy. Even when you feel low, you can still go. Even when you feel slow, you can still go. Even when there's no hope, you can still go. I never answer to no, man, I still go. Go, 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 go. You got a mind, but even that could change. You could flip the game, now that like some batter in your brain. That's why they say, fake it till you make it A. And if you play that game, then you just might make a change. Rearrange all the bad to okay. Take the worst start saying, turn them to a game. Take the best start saying, put them on display. On repeat in your brain till you're feeling no more pain. Never slow yourself down, you can do some more. Push past, start a plan, and you find a door. Open it up, and finally explore everything that you try, you can never do before. And even when you feel low, you can still go. Even when you feel slow, you can still go. Even when there's no hope, you can still go. I never answer to no, man, I still go. Go, 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 go. Go, 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 go.
I like tattooing with no shadows, especially when I got my afro, bro. It's
Yeah, yeah.
hella hard to tattoo. Then I gotta move my fucking neck this way and trying to get the light
No,
to
no,
go
you're
through.
absolutely right. I think that's a great
Like,
idea.
remember when we drove all the way to Folsom to catch a little tiny bass that we came back so proud with?
Yeah.